Hello, Internet, and thank you very much for tuning into the Cloud Native FM podcast. My name is Simon the host of this show, and today we have got a special episode with Murali Krishna Dulam. He's a co-founder as IT as Code. Is a wonderful name. I can all say that is. He's a content creator who helps individual companies navigate cloud computing and the cloud native landscape. Some of his YouTube links are available on the YouTube subscription in the YouTube chat. So feel free to click the link and see what he is up to. We will unpack in this episode a practical roadmap and how we can align with the newest wave such as AI and platform engineering. Beginning now, we are only 1 month away from 2026, and many beginners wanted to dive into the DevOps and they wanted to know, as a beginner, where should I start from? What intermediary engineer must learn? And hard lesson for advanced team facing when running agentic AI workflow in the production setup. For all of these natural queries, I'm able to find a best guest and the best match for all these answers. So without any further delay, let me straight go on this very first appearance on Cloud Native FM, and hopefully there are many more in the near future.
I'm Murali and from India, Hyderabad, and I have total 20 years experience. So I worked with different companies and I started my own organization called IT as Code Pvt Ltd, Information Technology as Code. And here I started with training. Initially, 6 years back, I started with training. After that, we developed one of the product called Fira, which is a business management software. And with training, till now, I trained more than 5,000 plus students and 1,000 plus students working with different MNCs. So these are all things. Here we used to offer courses like I covered like a cloud architecture and administration, Azure, AWS, as well as Kubernetes and DevOps along with AI. These are all things I used to teach. Yeah.
Awesome. Great, because I think in these time, skills are very hard to buy in. Like a lot of the organization I happen to conversate with on this YouTube channel, a lot of the co-founder, the usual question comes from their angle is that skill shortage is huge in the industry comparing to the previous version of the IT landscape, considering we have so many cloud plus cloud native technologies, we have CNCF landscape. Now, ultimately, the agentic and the AI bringing their own landscape into the picture as well. These are works fruitful before the business, where you have so many capabilities and so many paths to navigate to find the best solution for your problem or your product. But being individual, finding the best match is one of the hardest part these days as well. And people like you
Yes.
who are educating and putting effort and money into this into this effort is really resonated, I think, because
Yeah.
moving forward is still going to be a continuous problem in the industry as well. So
Yeah.
Murli, I want your expertise on this YouTube podcast for our listener because your channel has some topics on DevOps, also on the AI, and also you're exploring new technologies all the time as well. So my first natural question for you, because as we are recording in November and 2025 is going to be ended, and now we're heading toward to the 2026, and some people have some question like, what's happening, what's currently going on? There's multiple layoffs in the market is in a very blurry stage. DevOps is still very hard for a lot of the enterprises. For those who just beginning their journey into the IT, particularly in the DevOps model, so can you give us a little bit of the introduction to the DevOps, plus tell us some of the things the listener can do as they starting their career into DevOps to being starting their journey going forward in 2026.
Yeah. Like first, let us discuss about DevOps. What is DevOps? Later, we'll see other steps. Suppose if you are trying to deliver any application, right? So here different layers like development, operations, as well as other stages, SDLC stages. And first here, let us divide into two parts. One is cloud architecture and administration base layer. On top of that, how to deliver your application. So here, first we need to set up best architecture, like your application should be stable. Always it should be available. There should not be any downtime. Also, we should not get any security issues, and it should be scalable. That is the first layer. And second layer, whatever application you develop, so we need to deliver with users. So here, three parameters let us see. One is quality, velocity, as well as security. So as a DevSecOps engineer, how you are going to make sure all these parameters? So we'll try to observe that. And here we'll start our journey as a entry. So starting with Linux basic scenarios, and after that networking, at least after that Git. These are all few things we need to start. And coming to like containerization, Docker, as well as Kubernetes, at least introduction. So these are all things at least we need to start our journey as a fresher or a new person, you can say. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Totally agree with you, because I think one of the problem I see in the beginners when you dive into the DevOps paradigm, they see that the market has so much need for the DevOps practices and the principle, but they literally dive into the tooling system, like or straight go to the containerization, Kubernetes, or monitoring tool, and bunch of other stuff. But all that is actually dependent upon the Linux fundamentals, because back in the day when I started my journey, my core setup is Windows, but as soon as I realize everything is in production is Linux, and I do not have familiarity with the Linux, and I found out that is going to be a continuous problem for my career going forward, because the way we hit on the Windows machine is usually different in Linux. It's a command-based utility. You need to download the packages. Sometimes packages won't be available. You need to bring in those packages in order to actually download or upload or touch the file or make the file or copy pasting the file. All these are the command-based utility file. You don't have a fancy UI in the Linux. And that's where the processes get faster. So some people actually forget, and they literally jump into the newer set of core technology and newer set of principle as well. So Murali, the next question came up, like one of the question I keep hearing from a lot of the people these days, particularly into the DevOps paradigm. Yes, as you mentioned, for the new beginners, there are some pillars and some three-step into the process of how to start and what are the next steps you need to take into the consideration. With all of these AI hype around it, what are the because now we actually ask OpenAI, ChatGPT to give us some very easy command. Oh, I need to open a file. Here's a command for you. I need to create a file in the Linux. Here's a command for you. So for my time back then, I need to go into the documentation and find out the exact command for do that. I think it's a good. I love that AI is doing it, because is actually reducing my time, because previously I go into the three different links in able to find my answer. Now the answer is in front of you. But still, I believe we are navigating a very newer problem into the industry, because with all of these enhancement with the AI and the search result, I think we are missing the big piece, the fundamental, like what's happening behind the curtain, where we spend a lot of time. So in contrast to the beginner joining into the DevOps, for what I'm actually hearing, they introduced to the AI very early phases. So will it be a problem or will it be a progress?
Like here, first thing is, let us say if a DevOps engineer is trying to, if any person is trying to learn DevOps or something, whatever it is, first we need to focus fundamentals. Let us say whether it is Git or continuous integration or continuous deployment, as well as continuous security and feedback management. First, we need to understand this fundamental wise. Then let us say you can also use some scripts, but if anything goes wrong, if you are trying to troubleshoot some specific issue, if you have strong knowledge, then you can troubleshoot that issue. Otherwise, it won't help. So there is a major gap, you can say. so that we need to focus more into our fundamentals first. Later we can see other automation. We can utilize that UI. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Totally. Because I think
Yeah.
like as the individual navigating into this path, the natural entry is this. Like is a
Yes.
smoothing rail. Like you have
Yes.
set up a Node.js in your system easily with a lot of
Yes.
help from the searches in the OpenAI. As soon as you hit a problem, that's where your natural intelligence bring into it because
Yes.
AI need context is, and
Yes.
one of the thing I frequently find out in the industry, I think people like you are doing the infrastructure IT as code on the educational platform. I think that's where your pitch is really uniquely unique. Is that a lot of the newer engineer who dive into it, they prompt the error, feed into the AI, and then the
Yes.
AI giving them the answer, and then they actually been filling in those gaps without really understanding that what is actually I'm adding into the pipeline. Will it be a convoluted code? Will AI giving me the newer set of, will it be the version match with what I'm actually been deploying? Will it be what sort of technology I currently have and what is the answer is coming out of it? So without having any of those knowledge, junior
Yes.
team relied heavily on and adding those output inside the pipeline, and in itself is a security for the businesses as well. And
Yes.
with the prevalence of AI, we see outages like Amazon has outages. People is now
Yes.
calling out AI for the blame. How correct it is, we don't have any data. And as of we recording today, we recently had a
Cloudflare.
very big outage on Cloudflare. So all of these
Yes.
natural outages that coming out, people trying to skepticals are actually blaming AI for it, but all of those skepticism aside, it's mean the outage is been happening. So frequently look at the beginner's perspective, how big of a deal is. As soon as the thing is running smoothly, the things are good. But as soon as you hit the
Yes.
target case, that's a very bad model for it. Now,
Yes.
in contrast to the beginner diving into it, from your educational platform, if let's say I'm a student just coming out of the university and I want to become a DevOps engineer, what sort of educational resources or courses or some of the things you provided for the student in order to learn those skills?
Use, and I used to suggest my students to go through community forums first. So Kubernetes discussion platform, at the same time, our official platforms so I suggest our students to learn architecture point of view first. Architecture point of view. We are having some knowledge experience, right? They should focus architecture because most of the things are automating.
Mhm.
That's why just try to focus architecture way, whether it is DevOps or Kubernetes or cloud, whatever it is. Just try to focus architecture way. And here I used to suggest all these scenarios like Azure architecture documentation. Suppose if you are trying to set up any environment, so how you are going to utilize this at the same time. And here each service will try to refer documentation for each service component, and as well as similar way AWS also. In addition to our course content and material, I suggest my students to use this official because it's keep on updating. New changes are coming. So many changes are happening, right? And also, apart from that, so AWS Cloud also we are referring, and CNCF community. One more important thing is CNCF community. So many changes are happening. If you observe here recently, they added so many tools, and one of the area like Kubernetes, K-agent, agentic AI, managing your Kubernetes with K-agent, Kubernetes operations, and also some other changes like particularly security. So in addition to our course content, let us see, OWS Foundation, they are providing they are suggesting some like in terms of security, they're giving some suggestions, and particularly like agentic, they provided Gen AI security project. So these are all things we need to know. In addition to learning our regular topics, whatever things are happening in the industry, at least we need to know all these things. And apart from that, also one more scenario like confidential computing. So we can see three states: data in use, data in transit, right? Data stored, like data in use. How you are protecting your data? So there is a community called confidential computing. Right? So they will focus more into how you can secure your data in use. Right? So also these best practices, how you're going to utilize in your real-time scenarios. Let us say if you're trying to set up any Kubernetes cluster or any virtual machine, how you are going to utilize these scenarios. And also apart from that, so latest trends like MCP, Model Context Protocol, as well as E2 agent. So these are all things we used to conduct every week sessions, separate sessions for all regular emerging trends and technologies. And these are all things you can see that. And also like a MCP servers, like a Terraform related, these are all things we used to suggest our students to communicate, participate in these communities as well as.
That's a very, very wonderful guide on this because I think currently there's a roadmap is missing as we're speaking through the conversation. Like beginner diving into it, and you introduce with the Linux command, going into the
Yes,
container, going into the
yes,
Kubernetes, going into the storage drivers, the network drivers, the
yes,
databases, all the
yes,
shebang you have is
yes,
remember you need to concentrate all of those with the agentic AI capabilities. Like
yes,
previously, we learn everything from the scratch. I don't think so
yes,
currently would have a need to learn and memorize everything by hand. Now we have
yes,
AI, and every companies have allows you to use your favorite tooling that you compatible with on your machine to use the AI agentic workflow. So important as
yes,
Murali going through with the you need to understand what's happening in the Azure because AI is enhancing very fast, very fast, very rapidly. So you need to not only look at what's in your toolbox but what's in the cloud provider toolbox like
yes,
AWS, Azure, GCP. You need to just like take a look at the news, what's coming through. Is Anthropic is available on Azure? Is Claude is available on Azure? Yes, now we have because yesterday I heard a news that the Claude is now available on the Azure AI Cloud Foundry.
yes,
So that's the
yes,
news you need to understand. Once you have those news, now that news can give you, yes, now I can use Claude in Azure. Now this means I can write code in Azure. I can
yes,
purify my code, I can enhance my code. And then as Murali mentioning, you can go into the CNCF because those have technologies like Kubernetes, Argo CD, Istio, Containerd, Linkerd, or bunch of other projects like similar sandboxes,
yes,
vCluster, Lima, all of those projects available. So it's a very good way to actually look what's in the cloud and what's your skill set are and which are the playground having those prerequisite fill in and you can start developing and building an enterprise wide application. You call it a learning path for the intermediary working on the older set of technologies, still DevOps, still do DevOps in our traditional phases. What is the advice for them to move into this newer set of DevOps capabilities?
yeah. So here they should, whoever not yet learned Kubernetes and all these things, right? They should start learning Kubernetes because let us see the metrics as well.
Mhm.
So if you observe like Uber, recently they migrated with Kubernetes. And also if you observe OpenAI, they hosted with Kubernetes. Even not only OpenAI, most of the workloads, most of the AI related workloads hosting on the Kubernetes, even host LLM models. So if you observe Kaito, Microsoft Kaito, as well as NVIDIA Run AI,
Mhm.
these are all platforms. They are how to host your LLM models in the Kubernetes. It means there is a scope for Kubernetes, so much scope in this Kubernetes. So there is no option. It's mandatory for DevOps engineers. It's mandatory for DevOps engineers. They need to learn containerization techniques. They need to start Kubernetes uh, as soon as possible. And also before learning Kubernetes, also while learning Kubernetes, how to adopt these strategies also, AI strategies, or how to use this. Just now we discussed MCP and A2A. If you observe MCP, till now, let us say, imagine if you are trying to connect one server with one database with the LLM model or one storage with LLM model, example, how you are going to connect data sources with your LLM models, right? So they need to explore MCP as well. At the same time, while running your agents, how you are going to connect two agents, right? So these are all areas also we need to explore. At the same time, coming to the security, if you observe Azure, recently they introduced intra admin console with how to secure agents. With the help of agent ID, how to secure agents. They added these options also. So whoever already working in the DevOps, they'll need to focus in this way as well. They need to learn containerization, the first topic, and after that, how to utilize AI with the help to accelerate our DevOps operations and our containerization, all these things. They need to learn all these things. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This is a very important consideration because I think some people, I think the learning is like this one in the past. I think because how do people, some people still are very oldish way of learning new things. For my time, when I start working on a new set of technologies, I go into some of the courses. I go from the beginner to the advanced to the intermediate and into the advanced. And it took me a lot of time to find a very simple command to work with the tool to have intermediary command into the very complex set of command. So I think now our learning is quite being a different from the past. Where we are, we look at where we are now, how we can integrate AI, where integrate can shine. As you mentioned, I think Kubernetes is a natural fit for the AI workload because of its control loop and reconciliation and drift reduction. So this means I need to understand the Kubernetes, not much a very high level, but in terms of how operate and run and manage. And now the next thing is how I can bring on those agent, then sometime do remediation, auto fixing for me, enhance my code, add testing capabilities into it, and suggest me where things can improve upon. So now I need to understand. First step, I understand Kubernetes where the AI is running. Next step, I bring in those AI agent, and when those are communicating with AI Kubernetes, I need to know what's the communication, how the communication happened between them, and then I need to understand how can I enhance my prompt engineering for the agent or agent to agent communication. And for let's say if those contexts do not memorize my context, and every time I close the windows of the terminal, next time is forget, I might need to understand what are sort of technology I can have to actually add in the memory for the agent to agent or agent based communication as well. So that could be
Yes.
for from the intermediary. Those might be my next new step of evolution of learning new things as well. It's not that same if
Yes.
I want to migrate from React to Angular, I need to do everything from scratch. That's no longer a viable option. Even though it's a very
Yes.
good, you can going through every step. But the newer set is how do I can be familiar with React and ask agent to help me define my pathways for the code as well. So that's a very wonderful consideration, Murali. I think people who are listening to this, they can already see this is happening inside the industry as well. But let's move on to our final and the main topic. For the advanced engineer who spend time 10, 12 years in the DevOps, has some core capabilities into it, they can see the roadmap is now shifted toward partly platform engineering. DevOps is now being moving into the newer umbrella term that people call platform engineering. So Murli, can you give them some perspective into it, like how in your communication with some of the previous customers you've worked with, the companies you have, also in the communication side, and also what you're hearing from the internet, what are advices you can bring to those people who are just in the DevOps and wanted to move into the platform engineering?
So here, they should focus more into like automating tasks. So whatever tasks are there, they need to define, identify the gaps, and they need to focus more into the automated tasks, and also creating self-service model mechanism platforms, self-service platforms. These are all things first they need to focus. And apart from that, how to utilize AI and how to accelerate. These are all things also they need to focus. And particularly architecture point, as a senior guy, as like a lead guy, and he need to focus more into architecture side also. Example, like so if you are trying to set up some disaster recovery scenarios and multi-regions, right? And also we need to deliver application across multiple regions, or so we need some rollback and rollout, right? These are all scenarios. So they should think about like architecture side, like in terms of cloud as well as DevOps as well as Kubernetes, and also integrating how they can integrate with AI. These solutions with the help of AI, how they can simplify these things. Also, they can concentrate.
Yes, absolutely perfectly. And I think you heard a wonderful phrase, the self-service platform, because I think
Yes,
all the thing me and you spoke about is they need some plumbing. Like you need to install,
yes,
configure, run,
yes, yes,
maintain, upgrade. And if you don't have self-service capabilities, then you spend mostly of your time configuring the setup needed for the engineer, and you have very less amount of time for the application and the business logic. And that sometime might be the business owner, the CTOs and the CEOs or the CISO don't like this approach, because you always need to hit the business KPIs first. So being able to prioritize, think what the engineering need, what are the business need are, how those business need can be fulfilled with the some sort of the self-service platform as well. So it's been great talking to you, Murli. So for the final, for your own question setup, that's very important, because you are building a newer set of skillful people for the industry on infrastructure technology as code. And I wanted to know, like, what's your roadmap for the next few year? Any bootstrap content coming up, like from the cloud workshop or the DevOps workshop? Is anything has planned? If that plan, how people get to know more about it and being able to talk to it and wanted to enroll in your platform?
yeah. We are planning to conduct cloud architecture related workshops and boot camps, and also particularly, so we are launching a infra specialist. So this boot camp also we are launch. So I'll try to mention all these links in the description so that they can start reaching that.
Awesome. That's a very good news. That's a very good news, because people want to know, upskill them for the 2026. And that is the first way they should do to hear about more technologies as well. And also, Murali, in terms of your own set of plans, what will be on your radar in 2026 in terms of the DevOps and AI and the platform engineering landscape?
Like DevOps and AI, both actually, both and the platform engineering. So all the things are like we are focusing.
Awesome. And in terms of the CNCF tooling, I know you have some wonderful content in your YouTube channel. What's new you will be continue nowadays considering to add into the YouTube channel as well? Like, is there any more
Uh,
coming up?
Agent gateway. So again, agent gateway is there, CNCF agent gateway, because it is providing solutions in terms of communication, MCP and A2A in
Mhm.
Kubernetes. So they are focusing that. So I'm exploring that agent gateway. Next topic will be agent gateway.
Oh, awesome. That's good, because I think that
Kubernetes, yeah, Kubernetes agent gateway. Yeah.
great, great. That's a good news for me. I'm looking forward to it as well, because I think in the recent KubeCon Atlanta, there's a lot of talks happening around it. And currently, there are some talks available on the YouTube on the CNCF channel. And as you rightly pointed out, there's a hugely a new trend is actually going forward to it, because I think there's a security balance into it, the proxy
Yes,
balance into it, and the
yes,
communication is every companies are worried how the communication happening on that front as well. And let me
yes,
remind you guys, I definitely host before the end of this year with Murli, because he has some very good hands-on capabilities on the such topic as well. We are coming up with some of the newer workshop, possibly in the kagent or some other tooling in the CNCF. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that's where you will be notified when Murali will be diving us through hands-on stuff on some of the YouTube channel as well, because he has some very good expertise into this topic as well. But Murali, I won't take much of your time. I know you're the busy person running so many things. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation we have. I wish we meet earlier, and I can actually grab more of your knowledge around this topic, because your knowledge is super beneficial for my audience, because they have been complaining me about to add something in that roadmap gap as well. And one the things you told us here is superly important, and I think it definitely help people navigate into the DevOps roadmap for 2026. For and thank you very much for listener to tune into the Cloud Native FM podcast. I will look forward to meeting you again. And please include in the comment section that if you have some question for the Murali, I will definitely ask in the future episodes as well.